I would like to have dinner with our finance minister, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman. Maybe ask her, how do you manage a country like India and that is so well?
She's the ultimate CFO.
The ultimate CFO, right? Correct.
Action. All right. Hey, welcome to our viewers. We at Cashflow here are starting our series around Inside Finance. It's our humble attempt to create a community of finance leaders and bring together the broader finance professionals to learn from stories from finance leaders like Mr. Raj Mullick, who we have here, and I'll introduce him shortly. But in my experience, I've learned the most from business leaders and entrepreneurs, listening to their stories and their journeys. So this is our little attempt to surface some of these stories of some of the most successful leaders in the Indian finance community. I'm super excited to have Mr. Raj Mullick here as part of that. Welcome, Raj. A quick background about Raj. So Raj has been, 26 years at Reliance?
26 years, that's right.
26 years. And he's been, he currently is a finance controller at Reliance Industries Limited, as well as he takes care of overall business transformation and financial analysis at Reliance. And he's been around when I think it was I think he started off at IPCL, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
And 1998.
Correct.
It seems like an era, a very different one. And then in 2002, RIL took over IPCL in one of the largest investments that the country had seen at the time. And I'm guessing you also sort of been witness to the entire transition that happened when Mr. Mukesh Ambani took over at Reliance. And I understand that, Raj looks at, all aspects of finance at Reliance, whether it's mergers and acquisitions, financial planning, taxes, and restructuring, business transformation. Interestingly, I understand you're also a marathon runner, which is something that we'd love to learn more about. But yeah, so that's a little bit about Raj. So Raj, thank you so much for taking your time and having, being with us here at Cashflow.
It's absolute my pleasure to be here. It's a really honor. And I'll enjoy the conversation with you.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. And I think there is so much for us to learn. Would love to just understand a little bit about your role at Reliance. What is it that you do currently, given your mandate here at Reliance?
I was the chief accounts officer of the Reliance Group for more than a decade. Last September, I was elevated at controller and chief of business performance and financial analysis. So now it's quite a large designation, a longish one. Let me explain you what exactly it means. It means you need to do everything what comes in your way. Okay, so you need to look at accounts, mergers, acquisition. Actually, I am the part of the group level leaders of Reliance Industries, and as a GLL as they call. I mean, you cannot have a specific portfolio. You're beyond that actually. So you are a part of the larger group level leaders, and whatever problems are there, it will be thrown at you, and you are required to work at that and provide solution. That's your job.
So you've pretty much been there, done that. Everything there is to see and do in finance, I'm sure over the last 25 years plus, you've seen it.
Yes. It's an incredible journey. When I look back, I really feel that if at the beginning someone told me that you have to go this path, I said no, this is not my cup of tea. But with the blessings of God and wishes of everyone, I am there where I am. And the important thing, there was a lot of slog, lot of sweat, lot of blood. It's everywhere. But I enjoyed my journey. That's very important. I enjoyed my journey, and I have never been stagnated in my life. Every 6 months, when I had the habit of turning around and looking, did I move? The answer was an emphatic yes, I moved. Some new thing came in my way. You will never find a finance professional who is also heading the ESG reporting.
Yeah.
So I head the ESG reporting of the largest corporate of India. And that's a pleasure, because one fine day I was thrown in the swimming pool and said, you please swim, and I need nothing about ESG. But then I think we managed it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And, I'd love to actually go back in time, to when you started off, right? How did you get into finance to begin with? Was this something that you dreamed of? Was it something that you planned to do? Tell us a little bit about how it started.
Well, it's an interesting story. I never dreamed of being in finance. I never dreamed of being a chartered accountant. When I was young, my mom used to tell me that, I had the habit of breaking things. And that made her think that someday my son will become an engineer because he breaks things and try to see what's inside. And I also started believing that I'll become an engineer. So I come from Kolkata, West Bengal. At that time, our vision was very narrow. We could never think beyond the state. And we had 2 engineering colleges at Kolkata, right? Jadavpur and Sipur. And people used to sit for joint entrance exam. So seats were limited, the numbers were more. So people who could not do, they used to do for BSc course and then they used to appear for next year and do it. I set a target of 24 years to start earning. Everyone believed that I will click joint entrance. I also believed. The first day I did the exam, when I came out of the exam hall, I told myself, beta, this year is gone. You cannot. But unfortunately, everyone still believed I will make it. I told them, no, I will not make it. They said, no, you will make it. So I thought what to do because I'll never get admitted in the joint entrance. I'll not select the merit list. So what else? So one of my friend, while casually told that, I asked them, what can we do? Someone said, you can do a CA. And what is a CA? It does. CA is a fantastic profession. There's a lot of money and lot of fame, etc. I said, what you need to do to CA? He said, there's a office in Park Street and I stay in Central Bobadar. I think it's 5-6 kilometers. We walked and there was a board, foundation exam. I took the form, came home and I got...
this was, if I'm not wrong, what, the early 90s?
Yeah, it was 1992 because 1992 I passed the class 12 exam, then joined tenses. Yeah.
For reference for everyone, this is pre-internet, effectively.
Pre-internet, pre-liberalization, you can say.
Pre-liberalization.
Yes, pre-liberalization in India. See, it was a pure accident. I mean, now when I think, when I tell my kids, I tell them how reckless a person can be to decide suddenly to take a stream which he doesn't know anything about. I tell them to take this as an example, and this is one of the things that they should not follow, they should not do. But I'm fortunate. The stars were in favor of me. I went to finance, and it was not an easy job. When I went to college, I was outcast because I went to Goenka. It was on the premium college of Kolkata, and people came from 11 till they studied commerce, and I was the only one in science. And people used to ridicule me. Fine. But when I appeared for the foundation exam, so very few people could qualify, and I did qualify because of my science background, because of maths background. Maths was very difficult, and most of the people could not qualify the maths. Okay. So then I found that, science has somewhat linked to chartered accountancy. If you have a science background, it helps. So it was by accident, and then I have never turned back. Things have been fine for me.
That's interesting you say that, because so one of the things, one of the people I really look up to is Steve Jobs, right? Back in the day, and one of his very famous speeches, Steve Jobs he used to say that you cannot connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking back,
correct.
Right? Now, he took up calligraphy, as one of the things that he learned during his early years. And eventually that helped him when it came to designing the fonts and, the entire design language at Apple. And his interest in design grew as a result of him taking up calligraphy. Now, it's interesting that science actually helped you in chartered accountancy, which is not a very commonly accepted theory, or something that people would typically pursue. So, and when you took up CA, did you feel out of place at the time, or did you start enjoying it, or what was it like?
See, for me, it was a battle for survival. Okay. So in my life, I had many failures. And the biggest failure, one of the first biggest failure I had is in class 12, could not qualify in the joint entrance exam. So for me, it was survival. You have to somehow made it. I still remember I didn't know anything about accounts. So I had to learn 2 years of accountancy, which people learn in class 11 and 12.
Sorry, the JEE, the IIT JEE?
IIT JEE, correct.
Okay, so you tried for IIT JEE.
Yeah. So I wanted to become an engineer. So I tried for IIT JEE. I could not click. So then I went to a commerce college. So I had only 2 months time or 3 months time to cover the entire syllabus of 11, 12 in accounts. And the difficult thing was find a teacher who will believe in me to start teaching. But with lot of difficulty it happened. I could manage doing it, and then for me it was a battle for survival. Either you make it or what else. In fact, I come from a family business background. My father had quite a good, a big business and a printing press, 50, 60 people employed. So no one at my house was worried. None of my relatives were worried. Everyone thought, business hai na, he will go and sit in the business father's chair. I had different plans, so I knew this is a battle for survival for me.
I can see a few parallels, between us actually. So, like, you're an accidental CA. I got into financial services accidentally myself, and I come from a family of CAs. My father expected I would turn into a CA, but I again had different, ideas at the time. So I took up engineering. I also tried for JEE and failed at it. Finally, post-engineering, I happened to get into investment banking, and then that's how my career began. But, it's interesting sort of, again, at the time, you don't know how the dots will connect, but interesting when you look back, it all makes sense.
Not only accidental CA, I'm also an accidental accountant. While doing CA, and I cleared things quite well, one of the things I decided I will not do. I didn't know what I want to do, but one thing I was absolutely sure I don't want to do is take up accounting in my profession. So my first interview was in a very reputed group in Kolkata, head office in Kolkata. And in the interview, when I told that I don't want to take up accountancy, the interviewer was like, "What you are telling? You fast started accountancy and don't like accountancy?" I said, "No, I want to start my career in indirect taxes," which I did start. And there's something called destiny. Whatever you decide, something which is planned for you happens. And look, I became the chief accounts officer of the largest company of India, and I managed it fairly well for a decade. So that's pure destiny, nothing else.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And so, tell us a little bit about today, what's a typical, day like for you, having started, let's say, indirect taxes. Today you're heading one of a very large functions at Reliance, right? So, what's your charter like? What is it that you do on a day-to-day basis?
Till 1 year back, I had a very fixed role. I was the chief accounts officer. I had to deliver the results, management discussion analysis, media release, etc. Now, being a controller, there are few aspects that I look into, but now it's much broader. The spectrum is much broader. You have to look into accounts, you have to look into tax, you have to direct taxes, indirect taxes, mergers, acquisition, restructuring. Everything that comes in the company will somehow fall in your plate, and you have to contribute. So it's like more that you have to work with others. You have to be more a facilitator. You have to work with business. That's also I was doing as a part of chief accounts officer's role. But you more work with business, ensure the business do well, ensure the business do well. That's why that performance piece is there in my designation. Okay. So I work with business to see the performance. I work with the controllers to see the cost control side. I work with the leaders to see the mergers, acquisition, and restructuring. And I work with the chief accounts officer to ensure that accounting is in place.
And 26 years at the company, did you ever think that you might want to change your careers, change your job? What has kept you at Reliance all these years?
See, frankly speaking, it has been an exciting journey. It has been a journey with lots and ups and downs. Think a person into IPCL, which is a PSU, and then suddenly asked to move to Bombay in Reliance culture. I was absolutely thrown at sea. I didn't know what to do. It was, again, question of survival.
Yeah.
But one thing that constantly Reliance provided me, and I'm grateful to this company for that, and they do that for everyone who wants to work, challenges. Every 6 months, I had a habit of looking back and see whether something new is there in my career, something new I have learned. Answer was always a emphatic yes. Yes, there was something new. That made me going. Reliance is actually not one organization. It is actually many organizations put together. So when people change jobs, one job to another, they do it because they want new environment, new sort of experiences. In Reliance, we have those actually. So I moved from one place to other. Moving from IPCL to Reliance, and then managing the entire merger. And not only it's a financial merger, financial part of it. It's a transition from PSU mindset to a mindset of a largest market leader of India. Okay, and private sector. So it was quite different. It was very different actually. Then you have to manage your people around, right? So I've been doing this. So I never felt that, I'm not learning. I never felt that I have been struck back. I've never felt that I need to change to get something new. This company has provided me everything that I need.
Over these years, I'm sure, and you mentioned as well, right, that you faced many challenges, you had many failures as well. What would you sort of, if you had to think back over these years, what's been your biggest failure, so to speak? And how did you manage that, failure? How did you tackle it?
See, actually, if you tell me that you define yourself in one line, I would like to say that I'm a person who has failed millions of times. Starting with, in my school life, I always wanted to come first in the class. And in our days, like unlike these days, ranks were given from class 1. So from class 1 onwards, you have 3 exams, and every exam you are ranked with the first, second, third, fourth. So my class has 50 kids. So I tried to, from class 1 to class 10, so there are around 30 exams, 10 to 3, 30 exams. In 30 exams, I could manage to come first only once. So means all the other exams, 29 times I failed. I failed to come first. So I came second, third, fourth, I came 15, 20th also. So that is a failure. So in life, my life is full of failures. But one thing I am really proud of myself is that each of the failures taught me something new. Each of the failures did not manage to bog me down. I fell down, that's fine, but I also stood up. Yeah. When I stood up, I stood up becoming a better person, a stronger person, and that's what's really... So when failure comes now, yes, I know it's difficult, it's a pain, but I always know that, that's rainbow at the end, so we aim for that.
But this is interesting, right? It's obviously easier said than done, and we all talk about it, that, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, in a way, right? But how did it happen? So when you faced failures, what gives you the strength or the energy to actually bounce back and do something even better? Like if you dig deeper, right, what's the secret to that?
Well, there's a story behind it, and if you want, I can share the story. A young kid of class 6 and 7, means 12 or 13 years of age. So I'm born and brought up in Kolkata. I keep on telling this, the place I really love. So if anyone you are in Kolkata, you know that in central Kolkata is full of lanes and bylanes. I have brought up in one of those lanes and bylanes. And there's a place called College Square, which is in the heart of the central Kolkata. And the College Square is known for a big pond, a huge pond, man-made pond. And there are a lot of swimming schools, around 20, 30, which are shallow ponds just next to that, and they teach swimming. And as a kid, every parent used to teach people. I was also sent. And the rule is that first you try in a shallow pond, and then you start, you're fairly comfortable, you are put into large ponds and under supervision of the instructor. So one day the instructor was not there, one of the seniors was there, and he said, you are swimming, you are doing quite well, why don't you jump in the bigger pool? I said, oh fine, fantastic, I was excited. He said, no, you don't have to jump the entire stretch, swim the entire stretch from one corner to other corner, right? So, okay. So with lot of thing, I jumped. But I felt something is wrong. I was hardly able to swim. I was hardly able to breathe. But somehow I reached at the end. And the cement pillar was there. I touched the pillar and I was about to come up, and suddenly my hand slipped. And when my hand slipped, I felt I was going down. I could hear sound, people jumping in the pool, maybe. But I could feel I'm going down. Something from inside, I mean, it is very difficult to believe, but I'm telling you, something from inside tell me that, this cannot be the end. You have to make one last ditch attempt. I accumulate all my energy and I tried jumping up, and somehow I reached the top of and then I could place my hand in that cement pillar, and someone pulled me out. I really don't remember the face of the person who pulled me out, but the incident that when I was on the verge of death, someone pulled me out, always is there in my mind. So I think when I looked at it, I always felt, this is something that is a new learning. And there are many times in my career, I felt this is the end. Nothing can happen. I made a blunder. situation is not against me. And every time there was someone who pulled me up. The hand remains same, the face changes. So this is something I look forward to. So whenever in a problem, I keep on doing my best, look for that pair of hand that will pull me up.
That's amazing. That's an incredible story as well. And when you kind of had a near-death experience, I think it gives you a lot of perspective to life in general. That's very interesting. And so, let me ask you another question. Right, over these years at Reliance, you've seen many ups and downs. Do you have one really fond memory that you look back to, something that you're really proud of? Any such thing? If you had to pick one.
Well, it would be a difficult one, but let me pick one. See, I always try to make life better for people. That's always been my intention. So when I took over accounts, I became the chief accounts officer or head of accounts. At that point of time, the accounts team was organized in a fashion that, for completing a monthly accounts or a quarterly accounts, you have to stay till 3-4 days in the office. So the first year I took up a challenge that we will complete this annual accounts without spending a single night office. We'll come at 9 o'clock and leave at 10 p.m. When I told my team I was a new person, no one believed in me. And the thing was that, this man will not manage. The person before that is like a banyan tree. And when I told this, they cannot laugh in front of me, but I'm sure they laughed at my back. But the interesting thing is that we managed. We only spent one night at office, that too before the board meeting something happened or we had to spend. Otherwise, we were disciplined. We left everyone. I made sure that left home at 10 p.m. after having dinner at office. And then it went on. Now things are very simple. We have taken digitization. We have planned things so well. So now everything happens practically everything is automatically. Even quarter also. Even if you do it on 10th or 12th or 15th, we are ready because we have prepared the organization, prepared the system, prepared the people, everything is in place. So this is one thing I'm really proud of because I feel I could make a difference in the life of people.
And what gave you the confidence that you could pull it off? And how did it happen? I mean, what did you change? I'm sure this was not easy.
See, one thing, my wife tells me and my kids tell me that I am more a kid than them. So lot of decisions I have taken, which my brain told, no, it is impossible. My heart told it is possible. So that is one of the things I can tell you that if you see every situation was such that it was actually impossible, but something from inner me told me it is possible. We worked hard. I mean, there was no magical wand. We took a lot of decisions, lot of activities that were done after March. We preponed in February. We spoke to the accounting expert, we spoke to auditors, and everyone helped me out. It was a team effort. But the fact remains is that we did it.
Yeah. I mean, so it's, like I like to call such people like forces of nature, right? You don't have to wave a magic wand, but you just, with the sheer force of will, somebody needs to start believing it first of all.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Even possible.
That's right.
Because if that's the first step. If you're not taking that step, then everything else is pointless. But when you do believe it, and then you can rally the people around, I think that's when magic happens. So that's super interesting. Talk to me a little bit about the culture at Reliance. I mean, given how the company has grown from strength to strength over these years, there has to be something that differentiates the culture at Reliance from, every other company out there. Like, is there? What's your perspective on that?
See, I'll not be able to comment on culture of other entities because I have never worked outside Reliance. Sure. So I'm handicapped that way. But Reliance, I can tell you that Reliance has a very strong leadership. Reliance has very strong intent. We dare to dream. We believe growth is life, right? So when people think of setting up a plant of 100 metric ton, Reliance will set a plant of 1 lakh metric ton. You see the recent instance of Jio, right? No one believed that Jio can have 450 million subscribers in such a small time. No one believed Jio can break 100 million subscribers in 1 year. But we did it. You see the retail chain. When retail started, I mean, a lot of analysts, etc., were thinking that maybe it is difficult to survive in retail. But we are where we are. So because we have a strong leadership, we have strong intent, very strong intent, and we have the execution capability. Reliance is known for, execution capability of the projects that we do before time. I mean, the world did have not seen such kind of speed. We do. So
yeah, speed is something that I have actually heard from multiple different places. Speed is something that truly is synonymous with reliance, right? And you talked about execution capabilities. Of course, it takes a very strong leadership to even attempt this. But, often companies who have strong leadership still are not able to pull off, post that, right? So is this something the DNA across the levels that you've seen? How is it that, the mid-level, for instance, I'm sure the junior folks as well, they're pushing through as well, right? I'm sure they are the ones eventually driving impact on ground. So
yeah, I think you're right. I would like to give a lot of credit to the, entire credit to the DNA, the founder chairman, Mukesh Bhai, Mukesh Ambani, our chairman. Possibly it's my greatest privilege to be in touch with him, to work with him in some way, to be associated with him and learn a lot from him. So his dreams are mammoth. It's much, 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 much bigger than even we can think. So
is that what ends up driving the organization forward?
Of course, yes. His dreams, when you see that person, his size of dreams, and he'll make you believe. After you speak to him, you cannot come out of his room thinking it will not happen. You will come out even the most difficult thing that it will happen because of the sheer conviction that he has. And that conviction is backed up with lot of studies, backed up with lot of execution. That's why make Reliance successful. I think the success story of Reliance is, a proper mixture of everything, a proper gelling of conviction, leadership, resources, and DNA, of course.
That's very. Is there a piece of advice you received from Mukesh Bhai or anybody that you have really lived by over these years?
Many times. I work with a lot of leaders, and I kept on telling them that Reliance is an encyclopedia. We keep on learning things from leaders. I've learned from all the leaders I've worked. I've learned something. Each of them are different. If you see, each of the leaders are very different. So what I try to do is extract or learn the best from each of those leaders. Whenever I meet a leader or work with him, I decide these are something that attracts me. This is something that is great from this gentleman. Let me try and learn from it. I have been always doing this. So.
But let's push this thinking a little more, right? What's maybe one, two, or three things that have really impacted you in your career? Maybe you picked up something from one of the leaders. It could have been a habit. It could have been an advice. Anything that you can look back and reflect and say, okay, you know what, that actually really changed my own perspective and pushed me forward.
We end up doing a lot of things that apparently looks impossible. So that is one of the things that I've learned from them. Other thing I've learned from them is that treating your organization as part of family. Our leaders, I don't think they think that their family consists of their spouses and kids or something. I think they believe, the entire Reliance DNA believes, the entire Reliance industry is a family. In COVID times, I will not elaborate. This is already in public domain, media, etc. Whatever we have done for employees, only people who believes that entire organization, family can do that. Otherwise, people will not do. We have taken care of practically everything. It is not that we have thrown money at people. We have arranged for hospitalization. We have managed for ambulances. We have managed for doctors. We have, in kinds of crisis, our people were there standing to help them. So this is what the organization does for people. And this is one of the things why people are so loyal for the organization. They believe that it's a part of family. I know many mid-career professionals who comes and speaks to me. They they have some disgruntled or something. It happens. But if they ask, we want to leave Reliance, the answer will be emphatically no, because it's a family hai sir. Kahan chhod ke jayenge? So this is it. Reliance is more of a family. So I keep on telling young people that if you need to understand Reliance, you need to get the real test of Reliance. Don't join and leave Reliance a year or so. Work for 3, 4, 5 years, and then you will find what Reliance is. Then you will understand what Reliance is.
Wow, that's powerful. But let me, the challenge sometimes that can come in such situations is demanding performance from people while also demanding loyalty, right? Like sometimes it's a double-edged sword. Like if you treat everybody like family, and let's say somebody's underperforming for various reasons, what do you do in such cases? Do you take the hard calls? Do you let them continue on? How do you manage that?
No, we have a mechanism to take care of that. We have a very good performance management system. We take care of the people. We take care of the performers. So that is there. It is not that treating everyone a part of family means everyone get equal pay or everyone the performance is not factored. If performance is not factored, Reliance would have not grown so much, right?
Yeah. So it's a combination of like a really high performance team with the flavor of a family there.
Correct. That's right. High performance team with the flavor of family. I think you got it right.
Yeah. Fantastic. And talk to me a little bit about your own philosophy around teams and people. In your own teams, how do you think about what kind of people should you have there? What do you look for in people when you are hiring them or when you are, interviewing them, for instance?
So when I go to the CA campus, Chartered Accountancy campus or AMBA campus, I tell myself, this person has passed arguably one of the most difficult exam of the whole world. So he knows his subject. Okay, even if you go to a premium MBA institute, until you're a high caliber person, you just cannot get it. Okay, so I ask very few technical questions. What I need to see is whether their aspirations, their dream matches with us. For example, I go to a CA campus, I take a bright guy and he tells me, I want to become a CFO in 3 years. In Reliance, such a big mammoth organization, you cannot become a CFO in Reliance. Even if he comes after 1 year, 6 months, he will leave. So there is a total mismatch of that. So we explain him how your Reliance is a company where you have a lot of growth. Your growth path is this. Still, if he believes in that, he can join. So when you take a candidate, you have to see whether this candidate is fit for your organization or not. I see whether that even if very brilliant person cannot work with him, they are not team persons. So in Reliance, it is very difficult to have at this stage individualistic performance. You need to work in team, part of team, and everything is embedded. You need to do cross-functional activities, people of different backgrounds. So if you don't have that caliber, I think you will fail even if you are a brilliant person. So when I go to that campus, I see whether they cross the threshold or not. That is the only thing I do. So,
but it's hard, right? It's hard to figure out, so let's say somebody is very ambitious, they may well be a team player as well. But how do you actually figure out if, let's say, they will, fit into the culture? So you mentioned speed of execution, for instance, is one of the key determinants of success. Do you test for that when you're hiring these people? What are the personality traits that you look for? And then it's hard to test, right? So how do you test these personalities?
Actually, whatever I tell you, the fact remains, in a span of 15 minutes, 20 minutes when interviewing person, you end up testing a lot of things, but the inference that you will get will be mostly wrong. That's a fact of life. I see the best of the leaders, not only in Reliance, outside, best of the leaders recruiting people, and they absolutely fall flat. It's quite different than what they thought. So what I see is whether that person is ready to walk in, ready, is amiable, or he is a very rigid person, number one. Suppose a person say, I want to work in direct tax only and nothing else, and I could understand he's made up his mind and is very good in direct tax. Then I see if I have a role in direct tax, because I will take him in direct tax, because then his career growth will be in direct tax.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking for a person who will lead a business, head a business, and I have a person who is decided that work in direct tax, it will not match. Yeah. If I see a person who is not a team player, I will choose possibly not to take him, because wherever you are, you have to be a team player these days.
Yeah.
If I see a person who is not aligned to the digital transformation, who does not believe in the power of digitization, who does not believe in the power of IT, possibly I will not take him, because in my opinion, traditional accounting will be dead after 5 years, 10 years. Everything, your AI and other things will get on do. Your accountants will not die. The traditional accountants will die. What you do today, our role will be very, very different. Okay. So if I see that young guy who is not into that mode, possibly he's not the right candidate. So these are a few things I test. And in 15 minutes, what can you do? One more than you do.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think nobody can disagree with the fact that we all make hiring mistakes
We do.
in our careers, right? Sorry. But so let's say you reflect on the team that you had and the people you've seen within the company over time grow. Has there been something that has differentiated the real outperformers versus the average ones? Certain traits that have stood out. Was it adaptability? I think you mentioned that they should be team players, right? Was that the only thing, or how would you sort of articulate?
See, if you want to be successful anywhere, one thing, team player is important. Your skills with dealing with people is very important. How do you negotiate is very important. But one thing is absolutely important is that your excellence, right? Excellence. That trait is very important. You've done everything, and if you're not good at your subject, you will obviously not. Chances that you will not go ahead.
So the pursuit of excellence.
Pursuit of
wanting
excellence.
to be really
Yes.
good at something.
And I personally believe that you should be a change agent rather than adapt to changes. I have seen the people who are change agents have really done well in life. The chances of their failure is high. They keep on failing, but at the end, I think they are really successful. People who adapt to changes, they definitely go up the ladder, but they don't break that shield. I can tell you that. Yeah.
I love it. And it's like, it was almost goosebumps for me because I think it's so powerful, right? The articulation that you mentioned. It's very easy to take the easy paths to sort of do what is expected of you. But being the change agent, like you said, and being ready for failure, I think at some point it starts paying off. So, that's fantastic. You talked a little bit about how finance and the role of accountants will change over these years. And of course, technology and digital is very central to everything that's happening in the world right now. What is your view on how, what will be the skills that will be needed for, the accounting function, for the finance function 5 years from today, especially in context of AI? Because, a lot of CAs are emerging from our institute on a yearly basis. A lot of young professionals are in finance and accounting today across companies in India. They'll be listening into this, right? So they'd love to know what are the skills that will matter, let's say 5 years from today, 7 years from today, knowing what we know of technology and how it's progressing.
An interesting story. When I was studying CA, almost I think towards appearing for final exam, and I told him my dad was a businessman. One day he told me he gave me a lot of numbers, some bills, invoices, list. At that time there was no computers, there was no Excel that you can do in 1 second or a millisecond. He said, please add this up. I added up. He saw the number. He said, wrong. So he said, you can never become a good chartered accountant. I said, why? You cannot add up numbers. So in his mind, a CA is a person who could add up numbers, add numbers. So that was the perception. Earlier, I met one of my friend's dad who was a CA in 40s or 50s. So one of his job was to add numbers and do things. Do you think today a CA is required to do that role? No. Things have changed. It has transformed. So today what we are doing, not with even conventional chartered accountants, still I went to go to various forums. I see people still focus on bank audit, accountancy, direct tax, indirect tax. So how did the knowledge help? How did you distinguish a person who is good in direct tax and not so good direct tax? Because that person knows the case studies, that person knows the rules, that person knows the laws, that person is updated. Even yesterday there is a new law, a new rule has been announced and he knows it today. But it is not required now. It is all available in the fingertips. If you put a case and there is AI will tell you this is good. You go to ChatGPT and ask something, they will write a paragraph in the note for you. So those skill sets are not required. We require more different skill sets. Accounting profession will not be dead, but traditional accounting, in my opinion, will be dead because we need new skill set. You need to understand ESG because until you have ESG, until you inculcate the ESG mindset in the organization, I think you are going wrong. So today you are being in a seat of decision maker and you decide whether you will start up a new plant. And after the plant startup, suddenly, my ESG emission has gone up, doubled. and what will be the consequence. So you have to think at that point of time. The organization will think, provided they have the ESG mindset in the entire leadership team or organization. So that is what a new chartered accountant should have. New chartered accountant should think of making life easy. I mean, things are automated. They have to sit on the podium and see things at a distance, whether things are going on fine. They are more controlling and able to control things to dashboard, right? Like if you go to a manufacturing plant in your Jamnagar plant, you go to control room, you see huge walls are full of dashboards. The person sitting there can see how the plant is functioning, whether something is happening, and if required, he can press a button and switch off that unit. So he is practically preventing an accident.
Yeah.
Our role, one of the role of chartered accountants will be that, to ensure that accident does not happen. That is the controller role, not the traditional controller role of managing petty cash. Okay.
Right.
So things have changed and things are transforming. And if we do not, I keep on telling, if we are not able to change ourselves, we will not be able to survive.
Is it fair then to say that the real skill set then is around being able, so analysis and synthesis of information that you see for an accountant becomes far more critical than just being able to, of course, crunch numbers, and technology can do all of that today. So what kind of skill sets should people be investing in? Like early accountants, should they focus more on financial analysis? Should they build skills around business modeling? Should they learn more about business?
Actually, if you see the syllabus of chartered accountancy that's been introduced by the institute, I think it is applicable from next year. It has taken care of all these things. Yeah, they have moved in from tradition. A lot of new things have come. There are a lot of electives, and I believe in elective paper they're allowed to open book exam also. Most probably, I'm not very sure, but I have heard that. I have to check. But thing is, I have seen the syllabus because the council has consulted me for while doing the syllabus. I have given my contribution. I had my contribution. So it is in line with the requirement of the industry, because they also know that if they do not change, their members will not be able to survive.
Yeah. I do believe that eventually a CFO is the best place to eventually take over as a CEO in companies, right? They ideally should understand all the levers that are needed to drive business forward. And I think in order to be able to do that, you need to start appreciating business. You need to understand.
Correct.
And then, of course, technology is something that you can't ignore anymore. So, even for that matter, AI and understanding of what AI can do potentially should be part of every curriculum or every
right
sort of learning curve of a CA, even in the early part of their careers, potentially.
Yeah, I know. If you don't understand or don't learn the early part of your career, when you grow older, your learning ability comes down to a certain extent. So I think these are the things that should be foundations actually. You should learn the beginning of career, so it stays throughout through the career. When we were chartered accountants, that CFO course were not there. CFO term was not there. It came later. So the challenge for chartered accountants is from accounting, pure accounting, to move into CFO role, which is a much broader role. Now the challenge is, that is not a challenge. Chartered accountants are being in the CFO role, getting into CFO role. Challenge is something else. From CFO to the path from CFO to CEO. Whether you can take the mantle of the business, that is the challenge for chartered accountants today. So it has changed. So becoming a CFO is a passer now. If you have not become a CFO, well, you have missed the bus. That's it. But now I think you should aspire to be in business, aspire to be a CEO.
And how does how should a finance professional think about it? So first of all, my first question would be, how has the role of CFO itself changed, over the, let's say, the last 5 to 10 years? And the next question would be, what is it that a CFO needs to think about in order for them to become a CEO eventually? Any thoughts around this?
So when the CFO term was, I think, given by the regulator, it was purely, it was thought a person would be good or be looking at controlling accounts, audit and taxation, direct and indirect taxation. Then now that I think CFO means a lot of different. They're investors facing, they're into treasury, they're raising funds. they are into changing the they are into ESG. I mean, I firmly believe the monkey of ESG will ultimately settle at the shoulder of the CFOs, and they can run away with it. So a lot of CFOs are taking up the mantle, and it will be. I mean, the organization, a lot of people will be stakeholders. But if someone has to lead ESG, I think it has to be the CFO. He is responsible for creating a mindset in the organization. They are most external facing. They will look at the investors, analysts. They will give comfort to the board. And the most important, they will business partnering. I mean, they will partner the business to ensure that the business grow and business performance, monitoring the performance and ensure that performance is optimal.
And when you say partnering with business, what does that really mean? Because, historically, finance function has been responsible for controls, overall planning, budgeting, so on and so forth. But when you talk about partnering with business, is there something more to it?
Of course, yes. I mean, today I think we are in an era where you cannot say that this decision is of finance, this decision is of business, this decision is of technology. In all decisions, finance, business, technology are involved. Human is also involved, right? So there you cannot take any decision, correct decision, right decision, where all of us do not participate. So CFO has to come out of that accounting mindset into the business partnering mindset. So whatever the business decides, setting up a new plant, shifting a new plant, starting a new product, stopping a product, okay? Everywhere the CFO is involved. Whenever they are setting a plan, I think CFO has to be part of that what is the plan they are setting. When they are monitoring the plan and when they see some deviation is there and they are not able to meet the plan, the CFO has to be part of to help them, right? Suppose the way you raise finance will have a lot of impact on the bottom line of the business. The CFO has a big role into doing that.
Yeah.
How do you manage the working capital? I mean, business will do it, but ultimately CFO should be a person who will show you the light at the end of the tunnel.
So then let me ask you this. Would it make sense for people in the finance function to spend a few years in a business role, come back to finance, sort of move across outside of the finance function as well?
Of course, yes. Of course,
Into operating roles?
yes. So, I mean, people has to move at different places. People have to move into business role to appreciate business. It is not important that you understand or not. It is important the perception about you, that people believe that you will understand or not. Once you walk in business, in part of the business team, they will know, well, this man understands the pain and they'll help us. And that makes a world of good.
That also means business leaders need to be able to trust that a person of the finance function can drive certain parts of the business as well, right?
As long as you create a wall, that trust will not come. You break the wall and see water will flow from both sides.
It goes back to taking chances and
that's right.
Being agents of
in our organization, you have a lot of CFOs who are in the business role and who are doing fantastically well. There are a lot of started accountants who are in senior roles of business, CEOs, and they are to a trendsetter in the industry. They are examples.
Talk to me a bit about the role that the role that technology has played in finance function at Reliance. I gather you are, of course, a big firm believer of technology and how it can transform businesses. What's your view of how technology will change the finance function more broadly, and specifically at Reliance, how has it changed the finance function?
Well, I'll give you only one example. When COVID happened, I personally believed that we cannot operate until we go to office. Office was like our Makkah, Medina, and whatever you say. It is like we have to go to office to work. And suddenly everything, our chairman said one day, human life is more important than anything else. From this, within 2-3 days, you have to stop coming to office, do at home. In the period of 1.5 years, we did work from home and 100% work from home. Okay. We did one of the largest rights issue of India. We raised one of the largest funds in the history of India. We had almost 5 or 6 quarters and one entire annual audit being done sitting at home. I have never visited auditors. Neither auditors came and visit me. Everything was done virtually. So this is possible only because of the IT bandwidth and IT backbone that we have. Many organizations was forced to call people because they did not have that IT bandwidth, backbone. We had, so it is possible for us. Otherwise, it was not possible. So IT plays a very important role in finance. I mean, we, to the extent possible, I personally believe that if we have to compare industries in India as far as IT competence is concerned or stage of IT development concerned, we will be rated with very high, if not first, very, very high, maybe first also, and other. But we are still not happy with that. Today also, we are keep on improving. I mean, there's so many projects going on to further go ahead in life.
But in all of these IT projects, I think one of the things I've seen is finance as a function typically does not get enough priority when it comes to IT budgets. Where does finance sit in the pecking order of digitization, transformation?
No, I think in today's world, you do not have business and finance different. I'll tell you. Suppose in business, you have to process some invoices, whether it's a business or finance. One people can are processing invoice, making payment finance. Other will say that business will not operate without that. So I think there is very little distinction between a business and finance.
And in your view, among all the various projects that a finance, like a CFO or a finance controller takes up, where does digitization and technology sit in your order of priority?
Digitization technology is very important. We have a separate team. We have a separate leader who is responsible. Our leadership, entire leadership team, very keenly looks into digitization technology. And the important thing which I really love, and I think that makes a difference, they are open to everything. If you heard of new technology, they will never say, no, we have a lot, we not need to. They will always bring that, see it, let's test whether it's good for us or not. So their appetite of going new technology, applying and knowing new technology, the appetite of having new things, and their vision is like they're always thinking 20 years ahead than all of us.
Actually, that's the other thing, right? Can you actually look at not just the next few years, but 5 years out, 10 years out? I think you end up taking very different decisions when you change the time span.
Correct.
Over which you're evaluating. So the moment you look at 10 years out, how will the world be? The decision that you take today might end up being very different versus if you're optimizing for just the next 1 year, 2 years.
Okay. And secondly, when Reliance few years back, we had one of the largest business transformation projects in the whole world. I mean, that very few company would have the appetite of taking up such a project. Because it's a business transformation. It's the way we do business, changing the way we do business.
Okay.
So we had that project few years back, and it was a very big project. We got all the best consultants. We have our best resources put into, and then we had our operating models. We had our RMS, Reliance Management System, in place. So a lot of things are there which are not possible in the surface, but that accounts, or that is the reason for Reliance success.
Interesting. And so if I were to ask you, and then let's zoom out a little bit about and look at beyond Reliance. If you just look at India and India's next decade or so, what are you most excited about looking forward?
So if you see the Malthus curve, I mean, countries like Japan, US, Europe are having a lot of aged population, whereas India's population in 20s. So obviously, and Africa is around below 20, 18, 19, something like average population. So obviously growth will be here because we have we are having more population. We'll work and will generate revenue and obviously help in growth of the GDP. That is very, very important. One of the great things about the Indians is that I believe Indians are really hard workers. Wherever you go across the world, you will find an Indian doing a lot of work. I mean, they can sacrifice the weekends and they can do a lot of things. A very interesting conversation was led by Mr. Narayana Murthy few months back or a few weeks back on this. So I think India is in the growth path. The way the GDP is growing, it is this quarter's GDP growth surprised everyone. Beginning of the year 6%, people will be skeptical. People say 6%, but now I think everyone wholeheartedly are telling it is around 6.5, more than that. See what Q3 and Q4 numbers. So India is growing. we have a strong leadership here in India, so that is helping the growth. We have the youth, we have the workforce that is there, that will work and bring. So I think, touch wood, we are in a great place at this point of time.
Yeah. Anything that you worry about for India's future?
Really, I mean, sporadic events sometimes disappoints us. I don't want to mention the sporadic events. That's it. Otherwise, I don't see any worry over India's future.
What about what's happening in the world around, with all from a geopolitical standpoint? Do you see that more beneficial to India, or do you see that potentially having a negative impact?
It is not right to evaluate those events, geopolitical situation, whether it's beneficial to India or non-beneficial to India. The question is whether India will be able to survive or not. And my personal belief is emphatic yes, India will be survive, whether it is Ukraine, whether Israel, whatever is happening, whether it is China, whatever happening, US. The turmoil that goes on, I think India has the backbone of steel to survive that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Raj, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts so far. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation.
Me too.
Moving on from, professional topics to, more personal ones. I'd love to know, how do you sort of manage your work and life balance? I know you have a family at home as well. So is it hard to balance, and, how do you manage that?
Yeah, actually, frankly speaking, it's like walking on a rope. You have to balance everything. The family, your work, your personal self, your me also needs some time, right? I'm a marathon rider. I have run many half marathons, many 25 kilometers. I'm a badminton player. I have a professional coach who teaches me to play. I play in the clubs. But one thing for sure, that every morning, if I don't spend 1 hour, 1.5 hours something doing either badminton or marathon or going to gym or swimming, whatever be it, I feel my day is incomplete. The day does not start well for me, irrespective of how much work pressure I have. So 5 or 6 days I keep on doing it. It's a difficult thing. It's like balancing many balls, juggling many balls. It's difficult things, but I presume that if you have to be successful, if you have to be a complete person, you have to keep on juggling. Otherwise, there's no way out.
And what's your, how many hours a week do you end up working by default? What's your typical average like?
So if I tell the truth, people will feel that I'm setting a bad example.
You can be honest, it's your life.
Right. No, actually, I don't know. Somehow, from very early part of career, I have never seen work and life separate. I mean, so suppose if I were going, my wife's and my kids' greatest grudge is grievance is that wherever we went for a holiday, and we do very frequently, once or twice a year, I've carried my laptop in there at night when they're sleeping. I find 1 or 2 hours to respond to the mails or do some things, and even
my wife can relate to that, by the way.
A lot of wives will relate to that and to the situation. So I've never seen it different. I feel that it's a responsibility to manage. You cannot say I've switched off myself. Possibly a lot of people do, and that's good for them, good for their as a personality. But I personally felt it is not possible. So I've never switched off myself from office. I never did actually. So I'm always attached to the office. And if I switched off, there are more turmoil, thinking what is happening there. I'm supposed to deliver that. My team is supposed to do that. Whether they're doing it or not. Maybe it's my problem, very personal to me. But I have always like that. So,
but so that's an interesting take, because my personal view is that more than trying to balance the number of hours you work, it's just about having the flexibility to take care of your personal life from time to time, even if it means you need, some hours away from work during the day, during the week, if not on the weekend. Just having that flexibility to manage. You could choose to work, 7 days a week, but you could choose to work, let's say, only 8 hours a day, or you could choose to do everything between Monday to Friday and switch off on weekends. But that tends to be personal choices. But if you can, it's that whole concept of harmony, right, between work and life.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, flexibility is a very important thing that have emerged. People have understood that you give people flexibility and they can do wonders. You allow people to work at home. You allow people to choose their office timing. At time when we were young, there was rigid time that you have to come and punch by 10 a.m. People used to line up, queue up, and then you have to leave by 5 and people should queue up. Those things are gone. People come at their own time. They need to deliver this many hours and they do it in the week. So that flexibility is there. So I mean, you have to balance your life. I mean, and this flexibility, which is now the trend.
Yeah.
If you ask a youngster to have a life without flexibility, they will not agree.
True. But then what's your weekend like typically? What is it that you end up doing?
I don't remember any weekend, or rather most of the weekends I have some work to do from office work. Some calls are set, something there. But these weekends I take a lot of, I go for long running or badminton or swimming, something. So it has a lot to do with my personal self. I mean, I am a sports enthusiast. I take a lot of time. Weekend at the time when almost every weekend we go for a movie. Almost every weekend we go for a movie. Okay, so we are movie buffs, or we go for a restaurant to have food. That is the only things we have, or meet a friend or something like that. So those are mandatorily in my weekends. Reading books, yeah, I do need to read some books at the weekend, etc. Watch TV, Netflix, etc. Everything. So weekends are family time. Apart from other few hours of work.
And you talked about your sense of self and, spending time cultivating some of these interests, whether it was badminton, whether it's swimming or even running. Again, what made you sort of dedicated towards pursuing some of these things? Is it to do with, how you grew up? Is it family? How did this come about?
See, I always seen life as a one-day cricket, like a one-day cricket match. So when I joined, when I was a fresh chartered accountant joined, I knew everything can come late. Let me focus on my career. Then after a few years, I got married. I have kids. I told my wife, you have to take care of the kids, etc. I am more focused on my work, and she supported. Without her support, nothing was possible. Okay. Then at the age of, in a one-day cricket match, you have few slog overs in the beginning, and then slowly you need to settle down. You have to have a rhythm, which I did in my life. And then at the age of 40, I think I decided that I was a sports person in my school, college days. I played badminton. I was an athlete, also. I used to run 100 meters. I used to run in my school. I won a lot of medals for that. So what am I doing now? Nothing. So it's not right. Then I started all these things. 40, 42, I started all these things. And now I have touched 50. So things are doing quite well. So I have planned my life that. And hopefully next 10 years will go as per my plan. Till now, it's more or less as per my plan. As I thought it should be. Next 10 years we have to see.
Fantastic. Awesome. So moving on to, a fun part of our conversation, a little bit of rapid fire, where I'll throw some questions at you and would love to get your responses on that. Are we ready to do that?
Oh.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, let's start with the first one. What is an app that you can't live without?
WhatsApp.
By the way, I think the entire India operates on WhatsApp today, whether it's a small businessman or a industrialist. So fair enough. What was the last book you read?
The Law of Power by Thomas Green.
Okay. If you could have dinner with any leader, who would it be?
I would like to have dinner with our finance minister, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman. Maybe ask her, how do you manage a country like India and that is so well?
She's the ultimate CFO.
The ultimate CFO, right? Correct.
Okay. What is one quote or mantra that keeps you motivated?
I always look forward to the next step. I keep on telling my kids and everyone in office, my team, that don't look to climb a mountain. Only look forward to the next step. If you put your right in the next step, then you are there.
No, that's good advice. And what's the best piece of advice you have received?
Meditate. You are enough now to spend some time meditating. That's what my boss keeps on telling me. But I have yet to.
Do you meditate?
Well, I tried few times. It's not worked for me. But that is something on my cards. I need to do it.
Got it. What's a common myth about corporate finance that you would like to debunk?
It is not so. It is actually simple. It is not rocket science. So be part of it. You will understand that.
If you were not in finance, what profession would you be?
Surely I will become an engineer.
Not a badminton player.
No, I don't have a physical badminton player.
Okay. And what is the one piece of advice you would give to let's say, a new finance controller
So I would say hard luck, guys. You don't have too many precedents. You have to create precedents. So look forward.
Fantastic. Great. Just some closing thoughts, Raj. When you think about the role of finance controller in particular, what is your view on what it will look like 5 years from today?
First of all, I have started believing that this controller tag will not be there for very long, because no one like to be controlled. Okay. So it is. I mean, ultimately everything boils down to the role of the CFO. As a chief financial officer, you have to take care of ensure all the controls are in place. And when I mean controls, I mean the digitized controls, the other aspects of controls are there. So my piece of advice is, I think people should learn to delegate. I mean, more you go up, you should learn delegate, because your power of delegation actually will help you to how much you could take a load. Because if you don't have the habit of delegating, you don't have trusting people, you don't have the power or capability of creating leadership, then you yourself will get stuck at some point of time.
Yeah. I think that will also help them to zoom out and take it, look at a 30,000 feet view of things and
correct,
and develop that skill set. What are the 3 things we should watch out in the finance space over the coming years?
New concepts like ESG will be very much part of finance, that you have to, when finance people have to, even they don't want, they have to learn that. IT like artificial intelligence, etc. will play a dominant role. Finance people has to get acquainted to control things to dashboards.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you so much, Raj. That's a wrap from us. It's been a pleasure having you here and really appreciate you taking your time. So thank you so much once again.
Thanks a lot. It's my honor and pleasure to be here. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.